All right, guys, this next guest is a good brother, super talented. Even after all these years, he's still spitting that fire. Back for his second interview. I'm talking about the one and only S1.
What's up, baby? Panda Chop. How you doing, my brother? What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How you doing today, S?
Listen, man, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I love what you're doing. And just keeping things in motion, keeping things pushing and staying progressive, you know?
I feel you, bro. How's it been acclimating back into society since you've been home for what, a year now?
Almost a year, 11 months. 11 months.
Wow, man.
It's been a ride. This society is a lot different than when I first left. You know, this is not 2008 anymore. And I'm reminded of that every single day, as far as how we communicate, how we access money, how we spend money, everything changed. But for the most part, I got a good support system and everybody helping me out, man, showing me the way.
That's good, man. Yeah, when you left, it was like the big thing was what, MySpace still or Facebook?
Facebook was there, but it wasn't a thing. It was mainly for college students. MySpace was the big thing, and AIM. Remember AIM?
Right. AOL Instant Messenger.
AOL Instant Messenger. Yeah, that was the big thing. That was the IG.
You taking it back,
Yeah.
man.
Blackberries didn't even hit yet. I had a sidekick.
You had the sidekick,
you know
right?
Yeah. So I've been going a long time, and I left young, still come home still young, you know?
Right.
See, I ain't all
fashion was different.
Yeah, fashion was different.
Fashion was different, right? People was wearing larger sizes and everything.
Fact.
Now everything done change.
Yeah.
But how do you feel that that you've been doing so far, like being back home for a year? How do you feel like getting used to everything, the way things have changed? How do you think that you've acclimated?
I acclimated very well.
Yeah.
If you had to grade it was an A+, because I came home doing things as if I didn't leave. You know, as soon as I came home, I got my license again. I bought a car, all in a matter of 60 days, you know? So I was able to find adequate housing. I was able to reconnect with my son, my family, people in the hip hop game. I was able to reconnect with people that that stood in contact with me while I was in prison. We was able to bond even more now that I'm home. You know, life is good, man. Life is good. You know.
You know, when they say that, like when people come home, that you should give them like, I don't know, like certain amount of time before you start coming around them on the regular, because it's like they have those reactions that are quick, like in prison, where like, you know, if somebody trying to play you, certain things like that. Do you feel that like you had a hard time getting used to feeling like, okay, like maybe like not everybody on that type of time?
I still have a hard time with that today, because there's certain things in society that wouldn't rock inside prison. So let me give you an example. Let's just say, hypothetically, I'm on a subway and I bump into someone on a subway. Now, in prison, if you bump into someone, you're going to say immediately, yo, sorry, my fault, excuse me, sir. Pardon, we gentlemen about that. But in the street, if you bump into someone in the subway, they'll just look at you and ice grill you and walk away. And certain things, it triggers a certain reaction because of all the time that I have spent in prison. And just the normal socializing out here is challenging, because people out here are very disrespectful. So disrespectful, they don't care about anything. Everybody's like, it's a dog-eat-dog world. People are inconsiderate. Even when you're in a store, people skip you in line. In prison, if you skip somebody in line in commissary, be prepared to fight or get stabbed or cut. It's a lot more different. The respect level in prison is at an all-time high. People are like, they're bumping to you, but like, oh, I'm sorry, brother, I'm sorry. And this could be the toughest dude in the world. He's a killer, but he's still showing you respect, Panda. He just say, yo, and you could be somebody that's not a killer. He's just showing you the top-notch respect, because that's how it is in prison. We have a little more consideration.
There's immediate consequences in prison, right? Like kind of like
immediately.
Yeah. So then like in real life, a lot of times people, they take that for granted because they're not used to maybe somebody snapping right away, or like teaching them a lesson, quote unquote, for the way that they act, their behaviors.
Yeah. And I just want people to know out here that there are people that are considerate out here. You know, there's people who have manners and they know how to speak and engage with just people in general. So I just tell people out here, just be mindful of treat everybody with respect if you can, because you don't know what the next person been through. And I learned that in prison. If there's one thing I learned is to value what the next guy been through, even if I don't know exactly what that person been through. If that make any sense, like let me just show this guy respect or this woman respect, just immediately.
Right.
Even if they're not even worthy of that respect, I'm going to give it to you because I don't want to be disrespected because I know where it could lead.
Yeah, I always say that everybody is going through something that nobody knows about.
Fact.
You know?
Yeah, that's a fact. Mm-hmm.
So recently you came out on Instagram and just went off on Mysonne, and it shocked a lot of people. People didn't expect it at all since you guys were in Bang Bang Boogie together. You called him a bitch, a fraud, pussy, soft, fake, activist, just everything that you can imagine, right? So what happened with Mice that made you react in this kind of way?
What happened with Mice was I jumped the gun. I prejudged Mysonne based off his initial reaction to someone that I'm close to when they first came home. So I assumed naturally that maybe he's going to put me in that box like he did the person that I know about when he first came home. That person. So basically, in a nutshell, I didn't sit down with Mice and pull him up and even tell him how I felt about things in general. But I also felt as if Mysonne was basically not going to embrace me because of my past. Because through the grapevine, I heard that he didn't embrace someone that was close to us because of their past. And this person was in the midst of trying to change their life around. So I kind of felt like, you know what? He's going to do the same exact thing to me.
Mm.
And there's been times I reached out to Mysonne and I didn't take in consideration, maybe he could have been busy. But one time I reached out to Mysonne, he didn't pick up. But my boy was right next to me. He called Mice and Mice picked up.
Got you.
You understand? So it's like, damn, what do it get my calls. And my calls are not the calls, like I'm not calling, yo, I need some money. There's never that. You know what I'm saying? My calls were me, Mice, we chilled this summer, last summer, June 2024, we chilled out.
When you got home.
When I got home, and he was telling me, yo, I could do this, I could do that, because Mice came to see me one time while I was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically broke down what he was doing. And he was like, yo, I can include you in this, I can include you in that. Now, no one owes anyone anything. So this is what this man told me. So when I called to find out, hey, you still want to do this or do that? Because now I'm doing other things too, Panda. So it's not like I'm just going off of his word. I came home to opportunity. So I'm just trying to connect with my so-called brother. And he was basically ignoring my calls. So I was like, all right, cool. If that's how it's going to be, let's let the whole world know we feel this way about each other. It's a tactic that I learned in prison. Now, I know this isn't the prison yard, but still, if me and you not getting along, we got to settle our differences quickly because it can escalate. So I'm still thinking on that level, like, you know what? I'm going to just let the whole world know I don't like you. I'm going to let you know I don't like you all in one instant. And that's why I did the video. But I should have pulled him up and to see if he felt how he felt about that guy, that he had the same feelings about me. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Got you. Okay. So then like you do feel like you regret kind of doing what you did the way that you did, but in a way like you guys should have been able to have a conversation that, you basically told me that you would help me in certain ways. I'm out here fresh from prison pretty much, and I'm looking to my brother to be like, yo, let me help uplift you.
Right. But you know what the help is nowadays? See, the help isn't money.
Right.
Right? Because I got, through the grace of God, I have good support. So I don't need anyone from any money. I know how to take care of myself. But the support nowadays, Panda, is posting my stuff on your Instagram, liking something. Now, I was told that Mice is on another level and he's in business or cahoots with certain people that maybe he can't affiliate himself with a guy like me. But what's a guy like me? I'm a guy from the street, just like he was from the street. Maybe I've been in the street a lot more than him, and I was more in the trenches, but still, he's from the street, so he understands the street mentality. I embrace you. It was okay. I was worse back in the days, and you stood next to me. Now you telling me you can't stand next to me? That's what I thought what happened at the time. Do you understand that, Panda?
Right.
I'm thinking that he can't stand next to me because of my past. But in the past, you stood next to me, and my past was like the most dirtiest, corrupt past ever. You know, I did 16 years because of my past. Now I'm coming home trying to change the direction and the trajectory, and all it takes is just, a simple post. Yo, welcome home, my brother. Like,
So you
he didn't even
wanted
do that on
public,
Instagram. Yeah.
yeah, like public love basically, and showing that, people like, yo, this is my brother. Like you could say it behind the scenes, obviously, but it's not the same for someone to show it publicly when you have a platform.
Right, because there's things I want to do online. There's things that I do prison stories. I want to blow that prison story stuff up. It will be a good help if you can just post something and say, yo, you know what, this is my brother, welcome home, S1. Yo, maybe I could gain 50 new followers that I didn't have. That's how I thought at the time. But I'm like, you know what? I took I just had to sit back and talk to Hope. And Hocus told me, just do you. Focus on building up your own platform. You don't need anyone. Just because this man got X amount of followers and you got X amount of followers, don't think that you ain't on this man level. You could get to his level in a snap. So I had to reconsider and say, you know what? My success is not going to be based off whether Mysonne posts me.
Yeah, no, what I was saying was that, like, by him coming to see you and saying like, yo, I can help you do this, I could put you in this position, it set like a unrealistic expectation for you to feel like, yo, my brother really got me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you thinking, okay, like this is a real one, this is what he's really saying. But then when it's coming time for action, you didn't really see that. So then of course I think anyone in your position would feel a type of way.
Yeah, of course. Because I know Mysonne. But 15 years is a long time. People change, the heart change, the mind change. Every day we're changing, growing, developing. And if you don't want me a part of your evolution, cool. But tell me that. You can just be like, yo, S, right now I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'll get back to you another time, or we'll chop it up later. Just, somehow give me some type of, I'll holler at you later. Right now I can't embrace you, but don't ignore my phone calls. You know what I'm saying? Don't do
Right,
that.
right. And I think though that, sometimes people do things like that if they feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? They know that like maybe they should be doing something for you, or should they told you something, and then because they can't do it, then I don't know. But I think the best way is always to be transparent, right? To
Yeah.
be forthcoming with so that the person knows exactly. So they're not thinking like, damn, like, the mind can wander and start to think all types of stuff.
Yeah. But I have no malice, no hate in my heart for anyone. Not Mysonne, not anyone. You understand? I
Right.
even said things about my cousin. And my cousin is my cousin. So, and I put it out there online. But we had a conversation. And you know what? People are going through things too, Panda. But let me know
Absolutely.
that though. Let me know. I won't hit you up. I won't bother you. Listen, I wasn't bothering you when you probably thought I needed you when I was in prison. Actually, I was doing okay in prison, just mentally. I was doing okay. I didn't need the help. I didn't need the pep talks. You understand? I'm strong enough to carry myself through a 15-year bid without bothering anyone. I didn't take a dime from him. I didn't ask Mysonne for money while I was in prison. Once a year, I probably call him just to get an update. Hey, what's going on? What's going on out there? What's going on in the industry? I wasn't even calling. I could have sent word to him anytime I wanted. Him, Cuban, any one of them. People in the industry, so many people. Rest in peace, Fred the Godson, OMP, Corey Guns. I was in contact with so many people while I was in prison. I was in contact with a lot of people, Panda. You know?
I think that what people don't realize too, though, is like people may think that you needed them the most when you were in prison, but your every single day is pretty much planned out, right? You know, like on timing, like when to expect. This is when I'm going out to the
It's a
yard. This is
routine.
when food. This
Routine.
is right. It's a routine that people get so used to, right? But once you go out into the world, though, so many unexpected things can happen. It's like it makes it very nerve wracking, right? Like
Yeah.
that, like, oh, I don't know what am I gonna do with my life now? So you need that support more than ever.
Yes.
You need somebody to kind of really be there to help you out, especially because you did all those years that now it's a different world. You know, like you said in the video, like I'm new to a lot of this stuff now. Like I don't know. Like I was basically in need of like my brother to be there for me, you know?
Yeah. Just with advice. Just, yo, you don't got, I don't need you to tell me how to move, but let me know if I do move in this direction, what do you see? Because you probably have
Right.
more experience in doing certain things than me. Of course, I've been away for so long. That's all I was asking. You know, I wasn't asking for something that was tangible. Advice is good. I'll take advice. I'm the guy, you don't have to give me fish. Just teach me how to fish. You understand? I'll go get I'll go get a boat and I'll fill that shit up with nothing but fish. Do you understand? So sometimes things just don't work out. Then you know what? One of my OGs told me, he just said, sometimes everybody isn't everyone's kind. So maybe I'm not his kind and he's not my kind. And we just have to live in harmony in this world together. You understand? So
But did you get any kind of feeling from him directly that basically he couldn't be associated with you or anything like that?
yeah, of course, of course, of course. I know that's a big thing. But here's the thing. This is why I hate hip hop. I hate these hip hop dudes because they want to use the streets as a catalyst to help build their career, but then they really don't want to build with the streets. So you'll see a lot of hip hop guys, they claiming Bloods, they claiming Crips, Latin Kings. You know, everybody saying they know somebody that's a gangster and affiliated with whatever, the mafia, whoever. But yet you guys don't want to help out these guys that's giving you the credibility to even do the things that you do. Because if it wasn't for the power and the strength of the streets, the industry, the corporate world would be effing you. They'll be taking all your money, you know, have you sign bad contracts. So I don't understand that. That's one thing about the industry I don't like. And I'm not saying Mysonne is one of them types where he don't want to build with the street. I'm not saying that. I haven't spoken to Mice in a long time, and as far as like from last year. So I don't know what his mentality is, but that's what happens in this industry. More than you know, Panda.
Yeah.
All these guys perpetrate a fraud. But when it comes down to even giving a guy, like, first and foremost, yo, some of us have our own money.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have our own money to even want to invest into a rapper or an artist or something that relates to the industry. It could be somebody that designs, you know, album covers or single covers. Like, there's so much different ways to make money in this industry. Yet, when I'm saying, you know what, I'm leaving that lifestyle behind the streets, I want to do something positive, they put the shield up automatically, boom, because they only want to use you for one thing, which is your street strength. That's why I hate the industry and I hate hip hop, because this shit is perpetrated, it's built off of a fraud.
Right.
And I've never been fraudulent. So I'm not gonna let anyone use me for street credibility and I can't get something out of it. And then you saying you my brother. Yo, I'm your brother. What's up, bro? What's up, homie? What's up? You know, this type of these dudes, they act like they all affiliated and they want to assimilate among the street, but then they don't want to even help you even make some money. I don't want your spot, dog. I don't need to be a superstar if I'm around a superstar. Yo, how about I'll go rent out a club. Yo, we break bread. I put up X amount of dollars and you set your price. You come to the club, you don't perform, walk through or whatever. There's so much ways to make money, but these guys don't want you. They want you to be soldiers and clowns, and they want you to run around begging. You understand?
Right.
And I'm not that type. I could have been holding on. Trust me when I tell you this, Panda. I could be holding on to the top artist legs. I've been around multi-platinum artists this whole summer more than once, and it was like, yo, come around. And I'm not one of them guys that want to be around if I don't care, if I can't contribute. I'm not happy to be in a picture with this rapper or this entertainer. That's corny stuff. I'd rather be trying to break bread, do business. I'm not here to protect you. I'm not a bodyguard.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's all I'm saying, man. Like, the hip hop got to change, and the whole I'm gonna use you until I can't use you no more thing, that shit stops with me.
Yeah.
I'm not letting any one of y'all use me. Nobody. You understand? And that's why I be flipping.
I think the expectation, I think a lot of people would think like with Mice having a platform like he does, that he could have easily put you on that platform for you guys to do an interview, talk about old times, talk about how you've grown and the positive changes you were making. Because when you came home, you were doing Guns Down, Life Up. You did a story with Lisa Evers. I mean, like you were talking positive in your rhymes. I don't understand from the perspective of like, how can you not be associated with that? Because it's almost like this makes, you know, Mice or whoever standing next to you look better, that look at this person that did their time in prison, right? And he's reformed himself. And it's like, I don't like that about America, where it's like, okay, we send you to this to fix yourself, whatever, to pay for your crimes, right? But you don't want to give me a real second chance when I get out. So what opportunity
Yes.
am I going to have if you're not going to allow me to really show you that I've changed and learned?
Facts. And what I learned is, and Hocus told me, he said, listen, there's really no love out here like that from anyone. So you have to do what you have to do, and you have to stay relevant just by being you
Mm-hmm.
and doing your own thing. You know, and it's so much different excuses. If you see me call someone out, Panda, it's because I really, really have grounds to stand on. Like, this is somebody that I embraced. This is somebody that not only did I embrace, I'm sure I helped in one way or another. So for you to have me feeling like how I'm feeling is a real emotion, because I'm usually not like that. Yo, I'm a loving person.
What do you think of his response to you of saying that I will never address somebody on the internet that I once called my brother?
All right, I think that's cool, right? But his initial response was he did a slide, and he showed, like, he basically was sending subliminals through his story. He had a slide where it was like, it was pictures with him standing next to Damon Lillard, standing next to MC Light, Big Daddy Kane. He was even standing next to people from my neighborhood. So I guess that was a shot to say, look, even people in your neighborhood embrace me. But here's the thing: first and foremost, nobody in my neighborhood is ever going to go against me.
Mm.
You know, especially for him. You feel me? Like, that's never gonna happen, right? But even if it does, that'd be a fatal mistake on their behalf, going against me, right? So we're gonna leave that out. So I wasn't worried about that, because at the end of the day, his response. So he said that. So but he also put out a freestyle, and the freestyle, even though it was an old recording, it still was, here. That's for you. These words are subliminally towards you now. So that's what that was. So
It was
initially,
relevant to the situation now, basically.
right. So then he'll have the Will Waldo look. Oh, I didn't do that. No. You know what you did. But see, I don't operate in subliminal messaging. I'm straight up. And see, with me, it's just not hip hop. So if I see somebody in the street I got a problem with, I step to my business. In jail, I step to my business. So at the end of the day, Panda, what are we really saying here? You know, is this really a situation? So you know what? That's why I scale back, because people on the street, if I get rah-rah, then some people are just automatically going to get, they're going to just be on point and say, you know what, S don't like him. So, and I didn't want to create that energy around him,
Mm.
because he had a videographer that some of my little bros, they pressed him and was like, yo, you better stop standing next to him. And I was like, whoa. I didn't even tell them to do that. Like, now dude's ready to move on his videographer. I'm like, nah, chill. I'm going to just dead all of that, because he don't
Because they don't
deserve
think
that.
that you sent for that.
Right. And he don't deserve that.
Right.
You understand? So I was like, you know what? If it ain't real beef, then it really ain't about nothing. Because I'm the type of guy, I'm not all with subliminals, and I'm not putting up pictures with people, and like, I don't give a fuck who you put up. What picture you put up with who? What are they gonna say to me? That's how I carry it. You know, you understand? And I'm not saying something can't happen to me, but at the end of the day, I'm so much of a real dude. I walk around here regular. I walk around New York City normally. There's nothing. You understand? I don't tuck my tail. Panda, I'm not even saying I'm outside like how the young dudes say. I'm outside. Like, I'm naturally outside. I go to the store. I go shopping.
You're not hiding, though.
I would never hide. I wasn't hiding from anyone in prison where it was really real. So why would I hide for anyone in these streets? So at the end of the day, I'm not even worried about that. So his response was a typical industry dude response, which made me think even less of him. Like, damn, You think I care about you being in pictures with MC Light and Damon Lillard and stuff like that? Like that don't have no relevance here. That was an average industry nigga response. You understand? So now instead of I look at him like an industry guy, he's cool. He's an industry dude. You feel me? And ain't nothing wrong with that. You just an industry dude to me. You know?
You know, when we did our last interview, you kind of alluded to some people that basically said that they was going to be there for you or whatever, or they started acting like industry like and stuff, but you didn't say the person's name. And I always felt like maybe he talking about Mysonne. That's what I was thinking. You know what I mean? So like, did you already feel some type of way before and you kind of held off on saying something?
Of course. Of course. But I wasn't only talking about mice. There was a lot of other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I felt like this person isn't embracing me, or there's so many people that embrace me, you know, there's so many people that embrace me, and I can shout them out. I do like Hassan Campbell. He embraced me off the blue. That's how I feel your struggle. You know what
Shout
I'm
out to
saying?
Hassan,
I
man.
understand when you. Shout out to Hassan Campbell. This is a regular good dude. You know, my brother, they embraced me. My man OG Bar, he embraced me. My man Rap, he embraced me. Like so many people embrace me because of who I am, and my family, they embrace me. So I really have all the love that I really need. You understand? So I'm not mad at mice. But at the time, it's like, yo,
do you think
like
that because of your expectations, it caused you to have disappointment? Like, I know what I would do if I was in that position for somebody that came home. You know what I'm saying?
I already did it already. See, I
I
did
know,
it.
but that's what I'm saying.
Like
That
when he
our
first,
expectations
well,
kind of lead us to disappointment a lot of times of like what we would do for other people if the tables were turned.
no. See, what I'm telling you is I already did it for him. When he first came home, I put my whole movement behind him. He had his little movement and stuff. I already did it. You understand? I'm already that type of guy. Sometimes we just not the same type of people, and that's okay. You understand? He's not an enemy of mine. But at the end of the day, I keep my distance. You feel me? And me, I'm always approachable. So if anybody in the world feel a certain way about Sharif S1, you will always approach me. You can approach me any way you like. You can come calm, rough, rugged. All I'm gonna give you is a response. You understand? I walk here, no fear. You heard?
Has anybody tried to get you guys together to talk about it?
There's a few people that, you know, that I'm not gonna say to try to get us together to talk, but really there's nothing to talk about. Because what was said was said. Now I'm not gonna scale back on my approach was wrong, but I can't scale back on that feeling. That feeling was real. So with that being said, let me just be in my feelings. You understand? I don't feel a bad way about him because there'll be no need to go on the internet. You understand?
Right.
Like if it was too much, then I'll just go to your house. You understand? And so this is just a platform that we use to get the message out to people. That's how I looked at it. Right? So I'd rather do it on the biggest level. I'd rather show people that, look, I'm gonna let the whole world know I don't mess with you and you don't mess with me. That video, I took it down purposely. It was receiving 120,000 views in one day.
Damn.
I don't want to go viral dissing mice. That's why I took it down. You understand? Like I don't need to go viral dissing mice. If there's nothing mice or anyone on this planet could do that I cannot do. There's nobody on this planet that there's no special people. There's doers and people who don't do. And I'm a doer, so I'm always gonna be all right in this world. Shout out to all my people. Shout out to my man Maine. Shout out to Tone. Shout out to my man Christ. Shout out to Hocus 45th. Shout out to Hassan Campbell. Shout out to you, Panda, Gilly, Beamo, everybody. Dollar, Pone, all my support. I got so much support. Shout out to all my people. Everybody behind the wall, everybody that know how S1 is. Because at the end of the day, they'll tell you, he's a real one.
Right. So you went live with Cuban recently, right? What was that
I
like
know.
to talk to him?
See, here's the thing. I never felt a bad way about Cuban. I actually like Cuban Links as a person. So even if he ain't come to see me or whatever the case may be, I could have spoken to him anytime I wanted. You understand? Anytime I wanted, I could have spoken to Cuban Link, right? So at the end of the
But
day,
it got a little awkward when you guys were talking about Joe, and it seemed like you didn't want to talk about that particularly.
yeah, because here's the thing. I don't want to feed the narrative anymore because now it's S1 and Cuban. We talking about Joe again. You understand? Cuban has a legitimate beef with Fat Joe that stems 20 something odd years. So however that man felt about Fat Joe, I can't change it. But what I can do is control my narrative and don't speak on it to where it inflame things even more.
Right.
Do that make sense? And Fat Joe is cool. He's cool with my brother. He's cool with the people that some people I know that I respect and they respect me. So personally, I don't have a real situation with Fat Joe.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And Cuban knows that. And I still stand next to Cuban. You know, and if I see Fat Joe, I give him a pound. That situation is their situation. You understand? And it's not like there's a bunch of people looking for Cuban trying to chase him or hurt him, because it's not
All
that
right, but
type of situation.
what if you are hanging out with Cuban and then you guys run into some terror squad people,
right,
and they start jumping him? What do you do in that situation?
I would have to intervene, break it up, and ask dudes, yo, give him a one-on. I would have to give him a one-on-one fight, because at the end of the day, if somebody's with me, I can't allow them to get jumped without intervening. But my initial response isn't to just go throw punches and start. Nah, I'm gonna have to mediate, and hopefully, I'm
Right.
respected enough to where my mediation could come into fruition, and Cuban could get a one-on-one fight with whoever in that camp. Hopefully, because some dudes will probably respond like, mind your business, or fuck that, you could get it too. And then, we just be all a bunch of fighting people. But at the end of the day, that's not my initial response isn't to just attack them,
Got you. Okay. So it was hilarious during the live though, right? When Cuban said that Hocus be in the Pocahontas hole trying to do a reality show to bang a bitch. Yo, he said some wild stuff, man.
See, I didn't hear it. He said that on the live
With you.
when I was on the live.
With you.
No, I didn't hear
he
it.
said that
I didn't hear it.
that Hocus be in the Pocahontas hole trying to do a reality show to bang a bitch. I thought the whole point of doing the
No, not the Pocahontas hole, the rabbit hole. Hocus got a thing called the rabbit hole.
But he called it the Pocahontas hole though. That's why it was funny,
Oh,
because
I didn't hear it.
Because he like, Cuban is quick with the little stuff that he be saying and stuff.
But you see, Hope's response was, you know what? Let's have a fight. We're gonna fight.
Right, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But what I was gonna say though is that it seemed like for that live, it was supposed to be about you talking about the Mysonne situation, but then you seemed reluctant to talk about it on the live. Why was that?
Because at the time it was fresh, and I was still gathering my thoughts. Because when so many people tell you went about it the wrong way, you start thinking.
You needed time to process.
I needed time to process it.
Got you. Okay.
Right. But at the end of the day, like I said, that thing is like with the Mysonne, there's no problem with me and Mysonne. And I want people to know that we don't have a problem. You know?
So Cuban, after that live with you, he went and did his own, and he spoke about his issues with Mysonne in the past, saying that Mysonne basically forgot about him and told him Percy was the reason. And he also feels like Mysonne can't associate himself with you guys because he's in that political perspective, that different kind of tier now. I've said in the past that if Joe can stand next to Kamala Harris, the former vice president, and have goons around him, then I don't understand why Mysonne can't have you guys around.
See, here's the thing. It's just basically, it's an indication and underscores that we weren't really friends or brothers to begin with. You understand?
So it was business. It was a group.
It was business. And that's cool. Because look, I have a lot of brothers, like blood brothers, that came by my mom. So I'm not looking for another brother if he don't want to be a brother to me. I have so many.
You're not going to force somebody to feel a certain way or view you as a brother if that's not how they naturally feel.
No, I can't. Panda, I can't. Because I would look like a sucker.
Right.
Sucker for love. And no, I'm good. So Cuban, he has a legitimate reason to feel how he felt, because Cuban dealt with Mysonne a lot longer than me from being in the industry in the early 2000s. And also, he dealt with mice after I went to jail in prison. So his feelings is legit. If that's how he felt, then that's how he feel. But do you see how, real is real. Cuban, you see how Cuban embraced me. It's nothing to stand next to me. You understand?
Right.
And it's not because he's looking for strength and he's looking for help. People love Cuban links. You know, he's standing next to me because he liked me as a person. And then there's still some loyalty there, you know, as a person. Like, you know what? That's S1. You know, that's my people. That's family. You understand? And I respect that. You know? Lord Tariq, same thing. I speak to Lord Tariq. Lord Tariq is a good dude. We talk hip hop, we talk regular stuff. You know, he's one of my mentors. You know, and I got nothing but love and love, Lord.
And
You
shout out to
understand?
Lord.
Doors is Lord. Shout out to Lord. You see, Lord is always Lord quiet. He chilling.
Yeah.
One of the best ever to do it. His pen game, his verses, lyrics is dope.
Mm-hmm.
He just be in the cut. He'll just tell me, yo, S, man, just keep focusing on music. And we share, we build on music and we build on other things. We don't even pay it. We don't worry about this stuff. You understand? It's just that I voice it and I voiced it out and put it out there. And that's why we even having this conversation. Because people might feel the same way I feel. And I'm not saying any of them feel like that. But me, I'm always going to voice it. So that's something I got to work on because everything doesn't warrant a response from me. You understand?
Yeah. Were you aware that Hocus had issues with Mysonne before?
Yes.
Okay. And Cuban said that he had to kind of basically mitigate that situation.
Maybe so. I don't know the depth of the issues, but I'm sure they ironed it out.
Mm-hmm.
And Hocus just moved how he moved.
Right.
Hocus don't have expectations on anything. He just moved with the wind. He's just like, you know, I embrace who embrace me. I'm a support who support me. Hocus is naturally a good dude. He's not a hater. Hulk don't look at me as competition. He helps genuinely. And sometimes a lot of people in this business, Panda, they probably don't want to help you because they look at you as competition.
Yeah, that's facts.
That's how this business is. This business is really competitive. America's competitive. The world is competitive. So no one wants to help someone that they probably think that
is a threat
if they
to
help,
them.
this person might get further than me. This person's a threat. So with that being said, Panda, all I can say is I'm just going to embrace those who embrace me, who show love to me. You know what I'm saying, P?
That's all you can do.
All I could do, man.
Do you personally feel like Mice is trying to erase his past with Bang Bang Boogie?
No.
No, you don't think that?
He's not that. Mice probably moved on.
Okay.
Which is fine. It's fine. He probably moved on because this is another thing that Mice said. I got word back in the day. He said, yo, because somebody was talking about Bang Bang Boogie to him, and he was like, nah, I'm done with that. That's the past. You know, who wants to go down with a sunken ship? So you view the Bang Bang Boogie situation as a sunken ship, right? And this came from a credible source. So if that's your feelings initially, and this is like years ago, that's how he looked at it, like a sunken ship. Maybe he looked at me as a sunken ship, you know? But I'm here to tell y'all, this ship is back sailing. You know what I'm saying? And this voyage is going to be crazy.
That's fucked up if that's true, because it's like, that means that it was all good when it was cruising, and then now it's like basically like I'm off that.
That's how it is. That's how it is. And that's just life. And that's just business, and that's just life, P.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, and that's just life. And it's all good. But everybody loves a comeback story. You understand? Yeah. So with that being said, you know, I'm here and I'm gonna keep doing what I do. A lot of these guys are like that. That's why I came at that dude Eve.
Wait, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna
Similar
get into
reasons.
that in a little bit. Okay, you jumping ahead.
Hold on.
Were you there at the Mysonne and Ines battle?
No, I was locked up already.
Oh damn, man. That's crazy. Because Cuban was talking about the battle, and he was saying that like Ines was going after like everybody in Bang Bang Boogie, pretty much dissing everybody, and he tried to find him after the battle.
Yeah. The thing was this. He said my name and shit, but I know that's just some battle rap shit, because
right.
You know, Ines, you know, that shit was so long ago, it don't even warrant a response. But I'm like in a real grand scheme of things, like, nigga, I'll punch you in your motherfucking face. Like, who the fuck you think you're talking? You understand? That's my initial reaction. Like, Ines, like, you serious? You know what I mean? But then again, He's just a rapper, man. He's trying
Right,
to
right.
make
No,
it,
no,
and
but Ines is
he's
dope
doing his
though.
thing.
But
Yeah, he's
yeah, but
dope. I
Cuban
like
was
him.
saying that like
But
after the battle, like he got hoodied up and was like searching for him and asking where he was at, and the people were like, "Yo, you know it's just a rap battle, right? Like, come on, man! Like, man, roll the clip." But Ines was saying like going at Bronx dudes and everything like that. The way that he came across was crazy.
He shitted on everybody in there. The whole Bang Bang Boogie, but he used my name. Cuban Things,
Right.
Cuban Shrink, Cuban Pussy, all this shit. I'm like this. I'm gonna fuck this nigga up after this fucking shit. And after they finished the whole battle, I was by myself, my nigga, my hoodie like this, looking for this motherfucker like this. Oh, I'm gonna catch him. I didn't need them to do that for me. I had to go to the front to the guy who was holding the tickets. I said, yo, where the artists go? Where Ines went? He was like, nah, Cuban. He said, my face is you, all right, Q? Yo, listen, this is just battle rap. I was like, nah. I was like, nah, where he at? I don't know, Q. He's like, I don't know. But yeah, I was on it like that. And I was on his dolo. I ain't had to tell him that.
yeah, because a couple people told him too. A couple of his people was like, yo, that's what them niggas they ain't really joking type of niggas, like, and we already locked up. But I took it like as a part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Even that saying my name, battling mice, I didn't give a fuck about that. I was facing like life in jail. So I'm like, nigga, but now that I'm home, I'm like, Ines, like, really?
Do you think that Ines won that battle?
Certain rounds Mice won, certain rounds he won. Ines, he won more rounds than Mysonne, because Mice messed up one round. That's the only thing. So if people say he won, it's because of that one round. Other than that, I think it was a good battle.
Yeah. All right. Well, this whole situation is your fault now, right? Because of your live with Cuban.
Which one?
Hocus and Cuban going to be doing a boxing match now. What was your reaction when your brother Hocus challenged Cuban to a fight?
My reaction was, it was something. It was like, okay, I already seen what it was, because Hoke, he connected to the celebrity boxing thing. Shout out to Damon and all them, Alizé at Celebrity Boxing. And I knew Hocus instantly was like, you know what? Cuban, you're going to be my next opponent, in his boxing ring. Because Hocus, he like boxing now, he like to go in that ring and fight. So Cuban just gave him more fuel. It's not even about, like, it's not even serious to the point where they got beef or anything like that. Hulk is more like, you know what? We could go box it out now. Like, he's one of those, like, that's an alternative to an argument now. It's like, let's go box, So I like it. I think it's fun entertainment, because boxing is like a great form of entertainment. So I look at it as entertainment, nothing more, nothing less,
Did you expect Cuban to accept the fight?
No, I was surprised. But Cuban, he's the type, he's going to fight. So I wasn't surprised that he like, I know he got the heart to fight, but I was surprised that he, like, you want to fight in front of all these people, I'm surprised that he accepted it, like, publicly,
So you didn't think that he'd be down to do like a celebrity boxing, even though like that he could fight in real life though, like outside in the streets?
No, because look, a lot of people, regardless, you hear these rappers and you hear these entertainers, they talk all this hot stuff on the internet. When it comes down to boxing, a lot of people are scared to get punched in their face. Believe that. So all these little beefs you seeing, even when it comes to the drill rap and the drill beefs, it's because a lot of these dudes can't fight. So people, they put so much emphasis on the gun that they scared to fight, because they know they're going to get their ass whipped. So now they find power in the gun. So a lot of people are scared to fight. So for Cuban to accept that fight, it just lets you know how real and how, he's down to fight,
Yeah, but Cuban though, so like it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, right?
Yeah, but see, I thought Cuban would accept the fight behind the scenes. Like, all right, just like a lot of rappers say, there's so many rappers getting called out every day.
Right.
I hear it, because people call Hoke and be like, yo, Hoke, this dude talking stuff about me on the internet. Let's see if you can set up a boxing fight. And when Hoke goes to highlight the other party, sometimes some of the rappers or entertainers act like they too big, and they be like, nah, I'd rather fight him in the street. Why would you rather fight this person in the street than go into a ring and get paid to fight in front of a bunch of people? So it lets you know there's a lot of coward culture in our culture, because these dudes are scared to fight. trust me, a lot of people were scared to fight. So for Cuban to accept that publicly, I respect it.
What do you think about people saying that they too old to be acting like this, to be doing this?
You're never too old to fight. If there's old men, go on this internet, you'll see old men on the internet fighting. You're never too old. And I feel like if you could talk it, then you should be able to walk it. You understand? So you're never too old to fight.
So what was the conversation like with Hocus after they both agreed to do the fight?
Hope was like, he was surprised. He was like me, like, oh, he really agreed to it. But it also, Hope is more concerned with like setting it up and making sure everything goes accordingly and making sure the fight happens in the right venue. Now that it's a thing, now it's all about preparing it and making sure that it's a big event. So, you got Hocus and Cuban fighting, and then you got Lord Jamal, Crazy Legs fighting.
Right.
I think Cuban and Hocus is like the main card.
Yeah. Yeah, they the main headliners.
The headliners, and then there's Crazy Legs and Lord Jamal. Then there's a couple more surprises. I don't want to blow it up, but there's a lot more surprises. So a lot of people you see on this internet, they're gonna be fighting in that ring. That people that's arguing with each other. It's gonna be a good event,
So, all right. Well, with the situation with Hocus, right? He said, maybe I do have some resentment towards you for the whole prison thing, not visiting and stuff like that. Like, you did this whole time, did he really feel some way and he didn't say anything?
He could have been, he could have felt the way. Hope, he's not the type that's really going to tell you too much of his feelings, how he really feel. No, he never told me that. Hope, he's more so at a point in his life, he's at the point where it's like, forget all the going back and forth, let's fight. He's at that point. And it's not like, let's fight in the street, bare knuckle. No, let's do it the professional way, get some steam off our chest. So that's how Hope is settling his problems now. Anybody that's talking on this internet, right? Hope is down to fight y'all. So he has a lot of enemies. I want to let them know he wants to get in the ring and he wants to fight y'all. Look, it's only for 2 minutes each round. It's 3 rounds, 6 minutes. Who don't want to fight for 6 minutes and get a nice size bag? So all Hocus enemies, but know that Hope want to get you in the ring so he can pummel you.
Now, this question may be rhetorical, but I have to ask, who do you got winning the fight?
All right. I'm going to tell you who's going to win this fight. And I'm not going to even pick a person. I'm going to say the person with the most endurance and stamina is going to win the fight. So the person who I think is in shape the most and has clean lungs and, that's in training, conditioning, they're going to win the fight. And let me just tell you this.
So you basically saying that you think Hocus gonna win because he don't smoke. Basically, that's what you saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying whoever's conditioned. Because look, anybody could throw a lucky haymaker and knock someone out.
Right.
But I think when you fighting like that in the ring, you got to be conditioned to fight. And I know, speaking to Hope, both of them work out. Cuban works out. He's working out right now. You see Cuban look a little buffed. He's working out. Hope, he's a different kind of monster. He does endurance training. He does, you understand? I know his workout regimen, so I know he's in shape, 100%. And look, Hope also, he eats well. Hope been putting the proper nutrients in his body for the last 15.
He's vegan, right?
He's vegan, so he has a lot of energy. He's not going to be sluggish. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, Cuban said that he gonna walk down there, take a swig of Henny, take a pull from his cigarette, and he say he gonna knock Hocus out.
Listen, you gotta understand. Your fist gotta say what your mouth. Your fist gotta do what your mouth say. So hopefully we're gonna see. It's gonna be entertaining because at the end of the day, I just know, people think that 2 minutes, a 2-minute round is very long. That is very, very long. So, because people think like when we normally have fights in the street, we think they last like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. The fights really only be 25-second fights. I might swing, throw 10 punches. That person might throw 10 punches. And then you'll hear the aftermath. Yo, we was fighting, going back and forth. I punched him, he punched me. They make it seem like they was fighting for 30 minutes. but to fight for 2 minutes straight, that is a lot of time. You have to be in shape. That's all I'm gonna say.
Street fights though are a lot different than in a boxing match though, because like street fights,
Yeah.
like you could be like scooping them, you could do all types of stuff using the environment, throw them to the wall. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
in a boxing match, it's just totally different. You got to really
Yeah.
have that conditioning up, man.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So
That's a fact.
what do you think this is going to accomplish in the end? After doing this fight, what do you see happening? Do you see, I know Hocus said that he want to have a drink and then like, I don't know. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that it's gonna bring a lot of interest into what they're doing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some form of collaboration among all of us, and it really depends. It depends on Hulk. It depends on Cuban mind state. I don't think that it's going to linger. If it does linger, it's going to be a boxing part 2. It's not going to be nothing to where they're going to have beef afterwards. I think it's going to be positive. It's going to be good for hip hop. It's going to be good it's going to be good to show people that, look, you can argue and beef on the internet and you can get in this ring and fight. So, and I hope people look at it like that. It's not going to be so everything's going to be positive. It's going to have a positive effect.
Yeah, because like when you came home and you did the Uppercut podcast interview, right, with Hocus, it seemed positive. Things were headed in a positive direction because Cuban came on my platform. He apologized to you guys for not going to see you guys. Everything seemed cool. I don't know what happened within that time frame that made all of a sudden this happen.
All right, so let me tell you. When I came home, I needed time to think. So me and Hocus didn't talk. Me and Hocus didn't talk for 6 months after I came home. We spoke for the first 2 weeks and didn't speak to each other for the next 6 to 7 months. Right?
Why?
Because I needed to see what was going on out here, if that make any sense. I wanted to know, like, all right, let me just stand on my own for a second. Because I was so used to standing on my own that I didn't want to listen to what anyone had to say about anything. I didn't want to hear, you should do this, you should do that. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna look and I just wanted to watch what was going on. And I owed it to myself not to jump back into something like promoting hip hop or trying to do a blog or a podcast, because that takes a lot of time, that takes a lot of energy. I wanted to conserve my energy and I wanted to listen to my own self, So I fell back from everybody and Hope was busy doing his thing. And so there was nothing happened. It's just that people wasn't just talking to each other,
Okay, but what happened to cause Hocus to all of a sudden feel so strongly about Cuban to want to fight him now?
See, that's a question you got to ask Hope. All I could give you is an opinion because we never discussed that. But I think Hope Ben wanted to fight Cuban. Because
really,
yeah, I think he wanted to fight him in the boxing ring because they had words before. They had words before I even came home.
About what?
Damn, you don't remember? You better go back and look at some of the videos on YouTube. Him and Cuban had words. Hulk made fun of Cuban. When
oh, you talking about that time?
That time,
I remember.
Yeah, so they had words, and it was shocking to Cuban because Cuban's one of them types. He didn't even look at Hulk like that. Like he one of them types, like he was surprised, like, damn, you got a problem with me? But it really wasn't a problem. It was just Hulk is one of them types where he's not easily frustrated, but he's a bottom line kind of guy. So he was like, man, let's get to the bottom line. Let's go in the ring. He one of those types. So I think this
got you. Okay,
so bring clarity.
So then you guys have never had a conversation really then about why he feels the way he does about Cuban.
No, we never had a conversation about that, But I know that this is going to let off a lot of steam, and it's good for both of them. Because no one is really going to get hurt, It's going to be a boxing fight. It's going to be good. It's going to be very entertaining, It's going to be entertaining. Yeah.
Do you see yourself ever participating in a celebrity boxing match?
Yes, of course.
Who would you fight?
As a
Don't say my
nah,
son.
I mean, no, the mice thing ain't that. It ain't serious like that. But I mean, shit, we could fight, we could box, but it's not that serious. I would box whoever is going to potentially try to raise a smear campaign on me when my shit start hitting, like getting out there, because there's so many people. One thing I learned about this internet, when you start like buzzing and your numbers start going up, people start hating. Panda, I'm sure you look in your comments and you see a lot of haters. So
Yeah.
the average person, I wouldn't pay mind to, you know. But if it's somebody that has a name and they start taking shots at me, and I feel like they're worthy and they have a platform and it's good for both of us, we get in that ring, buddy. We are going in that ring, you know.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely. They say, you know, if you got haters and you're doing something right,
You're doing something right,
because it's like, yeah, people are not going to hate on just somebody for no reason.
That's a fact. That's a fact, man.
Yeah, man. I think that would be dope for you too. You know, you could get a good bag and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think about who would be good for you to fight though.
I don't know. I don't know, because it's gonna come along. Trust me. It's about to be some shit, you know. So I'm waiting. These big ass fists right here, they're waiting for you.
Yo, it's kind of funny because remember, like a few months ago, like you randomly texted me and we were talking about the Hocus celebrity boxing thing, and I asked you, I was like, "Yo, would you ever do it?" And you were like, you weren't sure. But then now, like, this is where we at.
Because I seen Hocus fight. I seen his first fight, and when I seen it, it gave me a feeling like I was watching a real boxing fight, even though it was a celebrity. It was a boxing fight, but it just gave me. I haven't been that excited about boxing. Right, I don't know nothing about boxing anymore. Before I was a connoisseur, I knew who Mike Tyson was fighting. This is in the '90s and stuff like that. And I was a baby as a kid. I knew Lennox Lewis. I can't tell you who's the heavyweight champion of the world right now. So me seeing my brother fight and seeing how smooth it went and knowing that he trained to fight and to be able to move the way he was moving, it sparked something in me and say, you know what? I wish one of y'all would call me out, because I'm gonna knock somebody's ass out. You know, even if I get knocked out, shit, it just made me feel like, you know, it's like when you see someone fighting, you be like, damn, I wish that was me. Like, you know, people start mimicking the fighting.
Do you think like it's the challenge? Like you looking for a new challenge now, kind of like something else to look forward to work towards, to, you know?
Yeah, it's that, and it's also there's lessons to be learned in boxing, right? Because if you watch the most inspirational movies, in my opinion, be like them Rocky movies, and the boxing movies are inspirational. You know, it's a lot going on leading up to the fight. So boxing always,
you got to like really dig deep to see like what's inside of you. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what you're really made of, basically.
Yeah. So the boxing, I love it. I love the narrative, the storyline. You know. So
yeah.
So that, you know, I like boxing.
How do you feel about Fat Joe being in the comments cheering Hocus on?
I mean, it's expected, because you know his history with Cuban. I don't feel no type of way. I really think Joe will be tuned in, you know?
Right.
And if Hocus knocked Cuban out, I think Joe gonna be talking about it for a long time. Like, man, shut up, you got knocked out. You know? I think it's entertainment, man, you know?
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people, including myself, feels like Joe owes Cuban a fair one.
You know what? They had a fair one, I guess. I don't know. Back in the day, they had a fight.
Not really. That's not really a fair one, man.
I mean, I don't know. Like, see, I wasn't there. Because from what Cuba said, they was fighting at first, and then somebody, you know, came from behind and did what they did. So, I mean, they felt each other blows and they punches. You know, it's up to them. You know, but I don't think Joe will entertain it though.
I just think that it's kind of like a bad look on Joe's part in a way, because it's like, all right, like you're supposed to fight this man for 24 years now, but now you in the comments cheering on somebody else to fight him instead.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, man. But I do know that if Cuban, he would love to fight him. You know, that's all I know.
I feel like that's the fight that everybody really wants to see.
Nah,
you don't think so? You don't think that people really want to see Fat Joe versus Cuban Link?
20 years ago. Not now.
20
Not
years
now.
ago.
Not now.
No, I
nah.
think there's some real Terror Squad fans that still want to see it
They wanna
now
see it?
to see like some kind of resolution. But I know we never gonna see it though.
You know what I think they want to see more than that? They want to see Cuban and Joe squash that beef more than
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
seeing them
That fight could lead to that though. Sometimes you know how it is. Like men need that to get that aggression out to be like feel like okay, finally, I feel like we at a point now we could resolve things.
No, I feel you. I think it'll be it'll be good. It'll be worth it to see that, because the history.
Can you imagine how big that pay-per-view and the people that would pay to go actually see that fight in person though? I
Yeah.
feel like all of hip hop would be showing up to see that shit.
Yeah.
Shit, I'd unveil who I really am and go see that shit in person. I would. I would go see that in person.
Nah.
That'd be crazy, man.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact, man. We'll see.
So some of the fans are worried, saying that this fight is going to be in the Bronx, right? There's going to be a setup for Cuban to get jumped by people in the Bronx or Terror Squad. What do you think about that?
No, I think that Cuban in this situation, even though he's from the Bronx, he's the underdog because there's people that want to see him win, but there's more of the powers that be in the Bronx want to see him lose the fight. So I think they want to see him lose. And people are going to pay some good money to sit and watch Cuban fight because they want to see him lose. So I don't think they're going to try to jump him or anything like that. They're expecting and hoping that he lose. So that way they can always have something on him like, shut up, you lost the fight. You can't fight,
Okay, so like we know that Joe's not showing up to the fight, right? But can you see Terror Squad members showing up to that fight? Like a Pistol Pete, Tony Sunshine, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. You can't rule it out that Joe won't show up.
Nah, I don't see Joe going.
You can't listen. You can't rule it out.
He might show up in that purple hat though, that purple furry hat. If he do show up, he gonna be styling.
Yeah, like you never know. You never know. But for the most part, if they can watch it and see it, they're gonna definitely watch it.
It's just like after the fight though. I don't know, man. Like a lot of fans are worried that like people gonna be waiting for Cuban on the outside because Cuban has said a lot of controversial things. He's spoken out against a lot of people, and I don't know. I mean,
all right. So I wanna let me put this out there, Panda, real quick, because I know a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. They're gonna have top-notch security there. There's gonna be a lot of police officers there because when you do something like that, especially if it's in the Bronx, community affairs get involved. And being that Cuban is high profile, and if you know that Cuban has a lot of problems with people on his internet, so do the NYPD. So
right.
The private security and also law enforcement, yeah, they're going to make sure that nothing happens to no one. So nobody's going to be waiting for Cuban. I'm telling you, a lot of people, they're going to go there just and pray that Cuban lose the fight because those are the people that don't like Cuban. But then Cuban has fans that's going to be there and they're going to be hoping he win the fight. So it's going to be real interesting, but never where it's not going to be to a point where Cuban life is going to be endangered or threatened at all. There's going to be too much security and too much police there.
Are you going to be walking Hocus down to the ring?
No. I'm not going to be walking Hocus to the ring.
But you're going to be there, though?
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Right.
But I'm not going to... That part is up to them now, Like, their little press conferences, whatever they're going to do, that's up to them. Look, bad enough. The reason why they fighting is because of the interview me and Cuban had. I don't want no more parts, That's it.
But I saw you said that, can I get my 6% now?
Yeah, I was just joking, man. And Cuban believed it too. He was like, yo, I got you, man. I'm going to give you some money. I said, Cuban, knock it off, man. That's yours.
He told me
that's
the same
your money.
thing, that he was going to give you some.
Yeah, look, just give me some complimentary tickets, all right? I shouldn't pay to get in. Just give me some complimentary tickets and we okay.
Do we know if Peter Guns is really going to be the ref?
It's a possibility. It hasn't been definite, definitely like, put out there, but there's a possibility, Cuban's familiar. I mean, shout out to Peter Guns. Shout out to Peter Guns. Oh, hold on, I gotta give a shout out to my man Geo too, Geo Vision. I gotta give him a shout out. But for the most part, you never know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a lot of surprises. That I know.
So during the live with Cuban, he said F Awall, and you said, no, I can't let you say that. That's my bro. From your understanding, what happened between those two brothers?
Okay. Cuban told me he felt like Awall wasn't sending messages to us.
Did you guys get messages from Awall that came from Cuban?
Sometimes we was getting them, but I really don't know. They had a fallout. You have to remember, they started hanging out with each other daily after we was locked up. So they had their own little history. And I think Cuban is more mad at the fact that Awall was laughing when him and BX Hove had the situation. That kind of hurted Cuban. I believe so. He was telling me
right,
something.
Because he made the video making fun of it.
Yeah. And Awall's a comedian. You're about to interview Awall, so you're gonna see how Awall is. He's a funny dude. He's a good dude. This is my guy from back in the day. Cuban threw me off when he said that because I was like, what Awall are you talking about? Because you can't be talking about Awall, not my boy. You know what I'm saying? That's our brother. But then Cuban like, man, fuck Awall. That's and it caught me by surprise. But it's all love. And people need to know that Awall and Hoke is like this. They've been tight forever.
Well, do you think that was wrong for Awall to make a video laughing at that situation though? Like if he did a video showing you getting knocked out, would you feel away? Don't try to play PC. Don't be politically correct. Come on, you feel away.
All right, look, I will feel a certain type of way, but if he did it in a funny way, I wouldn't feel a certain type of way.
Even though the internet's already making fun of you, then you turn to your brother and your brother's doing that to you.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not... Oh, shit, hold on.
Do you think that this fight with Cuban and Hocus will help resolve that issue with Awall with Cuban as well?
No. I think that Awall, he's going to want to fight Cuban as well.
Are you serious?
I really... Yeah. I think Awall's going to want to fight Cuban. He's going to want to fight him as well.
Pause, but he's a big motherfucker too, isn't he? He's like 6 foot something, right?
Yeah, he's like 6'5", made of nothing but muscle.
Cock diesel.
Yeah, he been like that since we was kids. But Awall is gonna probably want to get in the ring as well.
Oh
because they have a history.
This gonna start a whole Bang Bang Boogie fucking Royal Rumble. That's what I said. I said, you know what? Fuck the boxing match. Let's just have a Royal Rumble between Terror Squad members, Bang Bang Boogie members. Anything goes. Fucking steel chairs and shit. That's the way to go. That would be crazy.
Nah, because you gotta understand, people really have history with each other. So it's like, all right, I understand Hocus and Cuban is fighting, but Awall, he probably feel, you know what? Now it's time for me and Cuban to get in the ring,
So do you think that in the end, this is kind of Cuban's fault because he's very vocal and he shared details that were, I guess, private, and he brought it to the public?
In a way, I'm not going to say it's Cuban's fault, but every action brings a reaction. So if he chooses to say something, just know that it's going to be a reaction. And he knows that. Cuban's very smart. He knows how to engage the media. He knows how to engage and use social media to get his point across. So it was thought out. Cuban, he just didn't fly off the rails. And he really expressed how me and Cuban is alike in a way because we express how we feel,
Got you.
Regardless of right or wrong. And it's just, people was like, Hulk is like, let's just fight. Awall, I know Awall. Awall gonna be like, man, let's fight. Awall might say, he's so funny, he might be like, man, let's wrestle. So he's one of them types,
All right, well, how do you feel about the situation between Cuban and Gilly?
That's a touchy situation, man, because I know Cuban heart and I know Gilly heart. And Gilly is made of nothing but love. If Gilly love you, he really, really like cares for you. And both of them feel like they sacrificed their careers and their affiliations to be close to each other, right? At a time when everything was against Cuban and Gilly, right? So they was already cool, but they formed a bond, after Big Pun passed away, and they've been through some stuff in this industry. And to see them go at it right now, Gilly is probably thinking, yo, man, I could have been hanging out with this guy over here but I took your side, and hopefully he's not regretting, because Gilly is a guy that's doing so well and he's doing good. He's helping our community. Shout out to him. Shout out to what he's doing with Guns Down, Life Up. But in the back of his mind, he probably feel betrayed, because he knows that he could have been probably doing other things, but he chose to ride it out with Cuban. That's probably how Gilly feel. And Cuban probably feel like, wait, you was never on my side to begin with. Or you chose to ride with me because you was getting ousted. So there's real friction there,
I think that's the one that kind of bothers me the most. You know what I'm saying? Because like I've had private conversations with both sides, and I know that there's genuine love there. It's just that sometimes people don't know how to find a way forward. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of hard to come in so late into the game, and then you see that there's like a lot of resentment that had built up over the years, or certain people feel a type of way, and it's like you're trying to make sense of it all. There's a lot of nuances to different things.
Yeah. And you know what the missing link to all of this is? And may he rest in peace, is Big Pun, because if Big Pun, we know that he's not here, he's been gone for a while. But if Big Pun was here, this wouldn't be happening. Not like this, So there's a major factor that's not here that could easily, with a snap of a finger, squash all this stuff. Because he was that special person to connect us to all of it. And being that Pun isn't here, it just looks like, not that it's out of control, but it just looked like bonds would never probably be brought together again, because there's so much tension and so much disagreeing, It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of whack, because we don't get, like, our time is very important. We don't get time back. You understand? So
it's the most expensive thing.
The most expensive thing. So what do we do now? Everybody's older. I'm younger than them, but they're older people now. They're older. So it's like, we're not gonna like each other forever. We had a ball, we had a pact, we all was cool. So it's it's sad. It's sad in a way,
yeah.
But I look at it like it's life.
Do you understand both sides though, of why they feel the way they do?
They both have strong opinions, and they both have strong reasons on why they feel the way they feel. So it's hard to pick a side. It's just like, damn, what Gilly's saying is so strong, I understand what he's saying. And what Cuban's saying is so strong, I understand what he's saying. He is saying when it comes to why they're not speaking. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow. And I would never edge that on. I would never be like, yo, you right, Gilly. And I would never tell Cuban, yo, you right, Cuban. I'm just listening like, damn. Because at the end of the day, I don't think it's that serious to where they're going to be beefing and fighting each other when they see each other. But it's like, wow,
Yeah. What did you think about Gilly's response on his live?
I mean, Gilly gonna let it out. He's very articulate. He's gonna speak his mind. I thought it was like another strong opinion, or why he felt how he felt.
I think he was saying like, oh, you guys expected me to come on here and be like, fuck you, and come at him like that. But I feel like for the most part, he handled it pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Gilly's a class act, man. Cuba's a class act. It's just sometimes I think brothers go at it. God forbid if something was to happen to any one of them, they both would be crying. And I know that there's still love there at the end of the day. It's just when that love is going to be connected again, we don't know.
It's when you watch from the outside, you can tell like people get more angry because there is love there.
Yeah, there's love.
There's hurt there. There's hurt there. That's the reason why.
Yeah, there's hurt. a lot of hurt. It's a lot of anger, you know. And I speak to Gilly. I like speaking to Gilly. I like speaking to Cuban. I like Cuban, you know. But Cuban is on wartime. He's a warrior, so he's on wartime, and it's not just Gilly. Like Cuban got a fire in him. That fire is not going to be put out no time soon. He has a lot of fire in him. He's fiery. Cuban just sent me a message the other day. I was laughing because me and him had a private conversation, and then he said something, and it made me laugh because I'm like, yo, Cuban, when he dislike you, man, he dislike you, you know,
Right.
and it's a lie. Cuban's dealing with a lie. He feel like a lot of people betrayed him. So it's not Gilly. Like Gilly, his feelings is like if there's a meter to measure his anger towards people, Gilly is at the lowest meter of that anger. I know there's a lot of people he's angry with, you know.
But do you think that there's an unrealistic expectation on Cuban's part where it's like, okay, I need you as my friend to hate this person just as much as I do, or to be on my side in the beef or something like that? Because
No, Cuban. Let me tell you something. Let me say about Cuban. This how Cuban feel. Cuban feels like, see, Cuban don't care if I become cool with someone he's not cool with. He doesn't care. His thing is, don't start shitting on me in the process. Like, let's just say I become cool with Fat Joe, right? And then if I get around Fat Joe and I say, I'm just giving a hypothetical, right? I get around Fat Joe and now I'm like, man, I ain't fucking with Cuban no more. Like, I pick a side, that'll hurt Cuban. But then that's Cuban, the whole beef. He feels like so many of the people he put in position or helped out got around Joe and just switched sides on him. Like, as if Joe gave them an ultimatum to say, yo, either you're going to mess with me or you're going to mess with Cuban. You know, and I don't think Joe even thinking that far into it. I just think a lot of people feel like they have to pick a side. And as of right now, yo, for the last 25 years, 35 years, Joe been dominating. So people are going to naturally be more attracted to Joe because of the power he yields in his hip hop thing, right? So that's if you speak to Cuban, I'm 100% sure that's how he feels. He doesn't care if you cool with somebody he consider his opposition. Just don't play him and disrespect him. You know?
right, but that's why the fans are looking at Hocus in that way, though. They feel like Hocus is siding more with Joe now because Joe provides more of the opportunity.
See, what the fans don't know is Hocus doesn't need anyone for an opportunity, right? Because Hocus don't look at it like, hey man, I'm gonna be Terror Squad. Hulk is generally got love for Joe and got love for Terror Squad now, and that's a new dynamic. You understand? That's something that even though Cuban probably don't like it, he feel like, you know what? You turned against me now because of your love for Joe now. And Hulk is not that kind of guy. Hulk is like just fed up with Cuban. Like, you know what, Cuban, you're doing too much talking and you just on his internet doing the most. So now we got to fight. Like, that's how Hulk really feel. I don't think Hulk feel like, I'm going to take Joe's side and now it's F Cuban. Nah, it ain't that type of thing. Cuban probably think that.
Do you think that some of his responses, some of his posts make it seem that way, even if that's not how he really feels, though? Because some of the things that how he uses Joe into getting at Cuban, it makes it seem like, oh, I really believe like the things that Joe said. I really am on his side now with the things that he said against Cuban.
I believe that Hulk is you know, he might make
it seems like he do it to push Cuban's buttons, really.
That's what it was. Hulk is doing it more so to look. I gotta make him upset, right? So mentally, I gotta mess with him, and that's why he does it. And you know, all of it is not gonna say entertaining, but Hulk doesn't take it too serious to where it's like, yo, Cuban is my opposition now, you know. But at the end of the day, he's just doing it to mess with him, you know?
Because I feel like that's how Cuban is taking it, though, because the Joe situation is just such a big elephant in the room type of thing to waver, to utilize that as a way to get at him. It makes it feel more like, oh, like you really on that side now. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could feel like that. You know, it could feel like that, but I don't think that's what it is. But one thing I do know, Hulk is not like Hulk. If Hulk got love for you, he got love for you. So if Hulk got love for Fat Joe, he got love for Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? He got love for Rich Player and Terror Squad. He really got love for them. So I don't think Hulk is ever gonna be like, man, F Fat Joe. You know, he's never gonna do that. Once he got to know who them people are and they're good people, it's like, yo, he even admit, like maybe I was even wrong for jumping out the window and prejudging someone, but he definitely got love for them. Now, I don't know the extent of their relationship. I know they real cool. You know what I'm saying? See, me, I'm like Switzerland in this. I got love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I ain't choosing no side. I ain't, you know, look, if I see two of my people fighting, I'm not even trying to break it up no more. I'm gonna be like, yo, man, after y'all done, man, y'all can call me. But for right now, y'all gonna fight. I'm gonna give me a pina colada and I'm gonna go chill out and hopefully we all gonna be cool again. Because I'm at that point in life. Like I'm not picking a side no more. You know what I'm saying?
So me and Cuban did a live recently, right? And Hocus showed up in the comments and he said, Cuban, you the one that betrayed Fat Joe. So him saying something like that, you feel is just a way to try to get Cuban mad. It's not that he really means that.
Nah, I don't think he really means that, you know? Because I don't know if Hulk know the extent of their situation. You know, rest in peace to Percy. But I remember what Percy told Hulk. And Percy said, look, man, these men had relationships before we even came into the picture. So at the end of the day, it's deeper than what we might know of, you know? We don't really know the extent. These guys were brothers, man. These guys made history together. So we don't know the extent of whatever. Like, we don't know the level of hatred one had for the other. You understand? Based off of the past. We don't know. There's stories that Cuban can tell you that I don't know anything about. You know, every day Cuban tell me something new. I'd be like, what? And it'd just be stuff in the industry. I didn't know Cuban did a whole lot. Like his contributions is amazing. So only Cuban and Joe know, and Pun know what's going on. You know, and Pun is not here, so
Right.
it's just Joe and Cuban. You know, even Remy don't know all that's going on because she came in late. As far as they already had a relationship.
Mhm.
Cuban knew Fat Joe 5-6 years before a lot of the Terror Squad people even came into the picture. So we don't know what the hell's going on, you know? They know each other. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel the back and forth with Hocus and Cuban has gone too far?
No. I don't think so
No.
because I know Hulk heart and I know Cuban heart. I don't think that they are enemies. They're not enemies, you know?
Got you. Okay. What happened with Eve Rivera?
Whew. Okay.
And for you guys that don't know who Eve is, he's the person, the director of Power and like all these 50 Cent shows and all that.
All right. Now, once again, I was wrong for calling out Eve on that live. But you know what? I feel more bad calling out Mysonne the way I did than Eve because Eve is what I call a runner. He's a guy that's gonna like, once Eve gets into position, he ain't never coming back. And that's cool. But I have to remember that Eve is not my kind and I'm not his kind. Actually, Eve is nobody's kind. Eve is a former police officer. He's an NYPD officer. You know, he was arresting our people, locking them up and things like that, being a detective. And now he's promoting, you know, drug selling and all the stuff in Power, directing that stuff. So Eve is kind of confused in his own mind to who he really is. You understand? So my thing is, I know he doesn't really have a lot of loyalty because Cuban brought him into the game. Cuban brought him around Joe and Pun, and Cuban vouched for him and believed in his art. You understand? And the way Eve talk, he's very condescending. The messages I was getting, like even when Mice was trying to restart his career, back when after we got locked up, you know, he was signed. He went to the L.A. to hang out with the game and try to get down with Black Wall Street. I heard Eve was sending messages saying, "Oh, tell Mice, yo, he got to give it up." But now, you know, you look on social media because Mice got some prominence now as far as in the Black Power movement and things like that. He follow him now. You understand what I'm saying? You know, when I made that comment, I didn't know Eve was listening. He blocked me, Panda. I never was following him in the first place, but I found out he blocked me and I laughed because I know that my words, they cut like a blade. You understand?
What exactly did you
So
say?
I just I don't like him. I think he's a divider. I think that he's fake. You know, he's not my kind. But I should not have said that on that platform. But Eve is not nobody kind. Remember, he's a police officer at heart. You are who you are. You understand? Like me growing up in the hood, I grew up, doing bad things, right? I grew up doing, I grew up selling drugs. But at heart, I'm a businessman. You understand what I'm saying? Because if I could just remove the drugs from the picture, I could just get into any form of business. Because at heart, I'm an entrepreneur. Eve is at heart, he's a cop. He's an investigator. He's a divider. What are cop tactics? What do? They just trying to go up the ranks. They trying to go from soldier to captain to lieutenant so he's trained on a different type of time. You understand? He's not our kind. He's police. So I should have understood that. I mean, if I would have thought about who he was, I wouldn't even responded the way I did on that live,
Right. So you don't care about fixing it with him or anything like that. Do you guys know mutual people?
We do know mutual people, but I don't want to put them people into it. And also, sometimes, and a lot of people tell me this, I got to mind my business, How he treats someone else is probably not how he's going to treat me. You understand? But I also look at how you treat the people around you. You understand? If a guy been loyal to you, right? Hanging around you and you using him for street credibility, because he doesn't have any street credibility. Let's keep it real. Like our culture, we don't embrace cops to that type of level. But nobody knew Eve was a police officer. But it doesn't even matter because he has talent, But at heart, he's an NYPD officer. You can't do nothing around Eve. He's going to go back and, he still got cop ways in him. So if people would have known that, they probably would not have embraced him. I'm sure 50 Cent wouldn't have embraced him at that level like that. You know what I'm saying? Now it don't even matter. Eve is already in the door. He knows some few people. He shot a few videos. He shot a few mediocre videos. And some of the videos, they was out there once known artists. But, he's not like Hype Williams or nothing like that. No, he's not, But he's a good director and stuff like that. So he's doing his thing. I wish the best for him. He's just not my kind. And I don't never want to be cool with him, ever.
All right, man. Well, so you working on a documentary, right? Can you tell me about it?
Okay. I'm not going to get into too much details, but the documentary is going to be something that has to do with my development in the late 90s to the early 2000s. And in this development, it's going to break down the whole neighborhood and why we represented what we represented. And also, after a certain faction got locked up, how we came into the situation.
Got you. Okay. So you can't say anything else about it?
No, I can't get into too much detail, but I do know that we basically, we all in talks right now. We all in talks, and the talks are all positive, and it'll be shown. And this is not something just for YouTube. It'll be shown on a large network, and it'll be put out there. And I think people are going to enjoy it because it's a coming of age story. You know what I'm saying? And then not just me, my documentary. It's my documentary on people in my age group and why we made some of the choices that we made based off of the history from my neighborhood.
Got you. Okay. All right, S, I just want to thank you for your time, man. Is there anything else you want to say to the people before we go ahead and wrap it up?
All I want to say is thank y'all. I love y'all. I want to let you guys know that I'm not bitter and mad at anyone. I'm having so much fun. You know what I'm saying? I love talking to Panda Chop. I love expressing and engaging and communicating with the people. I got something called Prison Stories. Come follow me on Instagram at the real_S1 page, right? And hopefully, Panda, you can put up my
I got
Instagram.
You.
And I want y'all to follow. I got something called Prison Stories. It's another thing that I created. And shout out to Hocus 45th because Hocus told me to create it. Shout out to Hassan Campbell once again for giving me the inspiration to keep going. And shout out to everybody out there that watches my prison stories. But I tell these funny prison stories. It's not the typical, horror stories that we're used to. These stories are just funny. These stories are cautionary tales. And I want people to tune in to my Instagram and YouTube. Go to YouTube at S-1BX, and look at, just type in S1 prison stories, you know, and S-ONE prison stories. I swear you'll be entertained. They're very quick, funny stories. They're like 5 minutes, 4 minutes. You understand? So I just want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. And when I love you guys. And shout out to Panda Chop. Panda, you like, listen, you the best on this shit, man. You know? And anytime you do an interview, you call me, man. Let's get it.
I appreciate you, man. But you know what? His YouTube channel is about to blow up too, okay? Like that is coming soon, man. It's going to be crazy. I know already.
Yeah, no, it's here. The YouTube channel is here already.
I know, but I'm saying, though, it's going to get bigger and bigger, man. I know it is.
Yeah, definitely, man. Panda Shop anytime, man. We got to do this more often, man, because I'm running around this city, man. I know a lot. I know what's going on. You heard?